welcome to episode 3. Is it 3? I think it's
3. It's definitely 3.
3 of the Making Stories podcast. We are making stories. I'm Hanna Lisa, and over there is my lovely colleague Claire. Hello, love.
Hello.
So I'm in Berlin. Claire's in Canada. Together we make beautiful magazines and all sorts of other things focused on sustainable knitting. And we recently started a podcast, and we're so excited that you're joining us, be it for the first time or that you've watched our previous episodes. We really like this way of sharing, like little glimpses behind the scenes and making stories with you, because we love our work. We love talking about it.
We do.
And,
we really do.
I find it quite fun to share, like at the end of the day, what you'll get from us is like a beautiful magazine, but the journey there is sometimes not so beautiful. And I think there's a lot of fun in sharing those, like ups and downs.
Definitely. And sometimes it's lovely, but it's also very messy and chaotic, which in itself is always interesting and fun. So hopefully you'll enjoy it too.
Yeah. So this is a podcast, as I already said, like one part is we'll just share a little bit of what we're up to. We're also sharing lots of knitting stuff. And the first 2 episodes, we've only shared like making stories related projects. We have more projects that are not making stories related. At least I have them here. And you have some too. And I'm very excited about those.
Yes, I do.
I also have my coffee because it's like 2:30 here. Our little one decided to get up at 6 today. I was not ready.
No, that's early. I've been although I've been getting up earlier because I took advantage of, because our hour changed Saturday, Sunday, I don't know. Our hour changed, so I was like, okay, I'm going to try and stay on the other time, whichever way it was, and get up earlier in the morning, and which has been working. And I actually got quite a bit done yesterday before we had our one-to-one, and I was like, ooh, this is good, because normally,
great.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, oh, I need to find some real clothes, and I kind of roll over and onto our talks on a Monday morning, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I do know what I'm doing, but that's all. Yeah, it's been better, let's put it that way. It's been better, especially for when we have to record the podcast, because I was like, oh, we're recording the podcast at 9. I can't have like first thing, not had a coffee yet, Claire brain. So
yeah, I feel you on that. What do we have to talk about today? I have a bunch of knitting things here. You have a bunch of knitting things there?
I have a bunch of knitting things.
Should we start with I know what I want to start with before we start into like going into the knitting things, because I am not wearing anything knitted, but you are wearing something very beautiful, and I think you should share what it is with people.
This is, well, it feels a bit like self-promoting, really, but it's from issue 3 of Making Stories magazine, and this is Northbound, which I was really excited to get to design for that issue. So, and I'm not going to lie, ever since I got it back, there are those designers who like preserve their samples and like they're all special and things. I'm like, I want to put it on right now, and then I never took it off again. So, so yeah, this is Northbound from issue 3. I was like, oh, I need a cozy cardi for this morning because it's gone cold here. So yeah, I got snuggled up in this, and I haven't stopped wearing it since it came back, and that's mainly due to the gorgeous yarn, which is Triskelion yarn. This is Emery's Sport Weight in Seashell, I think is colorway, and it's gorgeous. I love it so much. So yeah, that is what I am wearing right now.
It's so good. I have a very serious problem with my knitting queue right now because there's all of those things that I want to knit. And I have this thing where I it's going to sound really bad, but you know, like we spend a lot of time with the designs in our issues. So sometimes I need a little break to fall in love with them again. Usually there will be a period of time, usually after I've done the layout or something like that for an issue, where I'm like, okay, it's good that we now have like a few months before the publication, because I need to step away. I think it's like that with all creative projects, right?
Yeah.
But it's so fun, like looking back at previous issues of the magazine now and seeing samples in the flesh, or like on the flesh. This is going in a very wrong direction. Anyways, seeing samples like Northbound being worn and being like, ooh, because there's so many good things about that one, like, you know, like the dropped shoulder and then the fitted sleeves, and it's kind of boxy, it's kind of cropped. It's a silhouette that I really, really like, because I'm a very high-waisted jeans kind of person.
Me too.
All
Me
of the
too.
high-waisted jeans. I found I'm not someone who will purchase multiples of the same thing. I recently bought the same jeans in 3 different shades just because it's so good. It's like secret pajamas. I'm not kidding. I'm wearing it right now. It's awesome.
That's the dream when you do that. I tried that though with my last pair of jeans, and which I'm wearing now and are super comfy. And then I got the same size with the same waist thing, but in like a wider, it's like a wide leg version of those jeans, and they didn't fit at all. They kind of fit, but they're not comfortable. No, so I was really sad. But yeah, if you find a pair of jeans that you like, you should definitely stick with them.
Yeah.
I would.
So anyway, if anyone's curious, this is not a fashion podcast. Does anyone actually care what kind of jeans are? I don't care if you care.
Know.
If you're into fair fashion, like I try to buy not a lot of clothes, and when I do, I try to find, you know, sustainably produced clothes, because otherwise it would feel, I don't know, a different story. I'm running a sustainable business. Why the heck would I not want to buy sustainable clothing? And then this t-shirt is from H&M. Yeah, I contain multitudes, people. Welcome to the Life of Making Stories founder, Hanna Lisa. Anyways, so the fabulous shoes that I was talking about is Armed Angels, which is a fantastic fair fashion label based here in Germany. And it's the, I think, Tilla jeans. They have like a cross stretch thing. So it's cross stretch, slim fitting, high waist. Awesome. Love it. Let's talk about knitting. This is not a good direction. I'm not a fashion person, people. Like, I like fashion. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm very qualified to do like a fashion podcast or anything. All right, let's get back to knitting. So Claire is wearing something beautiful, Northbound cardigan. Yay! All right.
Yay!
Do you want to start? Should I start? What do you prefer?
Sure. Well, I'll do a few bits first. I have several things over here, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to show, because I have 2 completed samples for the kids collection, and I have 1 in progress. Now, I don't think we should show too much because it's going to be exciting, because I don't want to give it all away straight away.
Okay. I want to see the one in progress, because I think it's the one that you shared yesterday on stories. And when I saw it this morning, I was like, I need this.
So in typical Claire fashion, I put this down halfway through a row, which is a nightmare for this. But I'm going to show you, you'll be able to kind of see it. So I'm working on a blanket at the moment, which,
oh my god, I love this,
which I had to rip back quite a bit last night, but we're fine because it knits up really quickly. It was one of those situations where I saw a mistake in this garter section, and I'm one of those people, I know it's terrible, I should just be like, yeah, but it's a sample, and I'd increased too many times in the same spot in a really weird way, so I ripped that because it was stressing me out. I could have just soldiered on, but I didn't, because I'm like that. But I'm on with a blanket at the moment, which is really hard to see. I'm sorry.
I think it's a really good sneak peek. It doesn't give away too much.
So, and there's going to be a third colour that's going to be added to this as well. So basically with this, I wanted something that you didn't have to cast on a ton of stitches and you didn't have to bind off a ton of stitches, because I find that can happen a lot with blankets. But it's really kind of like relaxing, and so there's going to be some slight directional things going on, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited by that one, because I designed the blanket in a very different way because it's got 3 colors in it, and I went very color blocky. And I think early on when we were talking about it, I was like, it's going to have different stitch patterns and it's going to have like this, and it just got too much. It was one of those things, and that I was swatching and I was trying to go through it, and it's one thing I heard, who was it? It was another designer, Michelle Wang. I was listening to a podcast with Michelle Wang, and she was saying, if you're designing something and you're getting a little bit overwhelmed by it, make a list of all the features in that pattern, like all the little things that are going on in it. And she was like, if there's more than like 3 or 4 things happening, just you need to cull things, which I think is a great, for me, is a great kind of like rule of thumb, because I'm terrible at overcomplicating patterns. I'm the person who likes really simple patterns, but then I panic and I think, oh, it's too simple, it needs to have bells and whistles, or no one's going to knit it and it's going to be ridiculous. And then I basically throw everything at it and then go, oh, I don't like it. And that's kind of where I was going with that one. So I completely stripped it back, and it's got some, so it's like a nice relaxing knit, but it's got that kind of color change, some slip stitches in there, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good.
Oh, I got so excited when I saw it. So like I saw the swatch that you did. I think I saw it for the first time yesterday, maybe in our one-on-one.
Yeah.
And then I saw the little sneak peek that you shared on Insta stories, and I love it so much. And it's exactly, like, I mean, like our sort of intention behind the kids collection was to produce things or patterns that are engaging, like not super mindless, but also not super complicated. Like I remember when we were starting to work on the designs, I think Oren, so our little one, was a few weeks old, maybe like 2 months or something. And I was very sleep deprived and very much in like, I just want to have something to get my knitting mojo back. So, and this is the kind of mind that we're sorry, but that I brought to the design table. And I remember our conversation about it where I was like, I think, what would be really nice is if we have patterns that are great for gift knitting, because a lot of times, like kids patterns or baby patterns, they will be gift knits. That you will maybe want to knit over and over again, but that are also not super complicated, so that if you are a sleep deprived new parent, or any parent, doesn't have to be a new baby. I hear that asleep. Anyways, let's not talk about baby sleep. We're very lucky in that regard, though. Knock on wood. But anyway, so that you can, like that you can create something beautiful without having to spend too much brain space on it, and it will still be fun to knit. It's a very overcomplicated way of explaining what we're trying to do with the kids collection. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be out, hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of January as a digital only collection, and we're slowly starting to share glimpses and bits here and there.
Yeah, as I was saying to you, like, I think I told you yesterday that I was in like a phase with the kids collection for a while where I was kind of mad at it, because every single design I started with, I went with my initial idea and it was just horrible, which is fine. I mean, that happens, but I kind of got, by the time I got to the blanket, I was like, oh my God, why am I even designing? Clearly all of my instincts have been off with this whole thing. But as I kind of got there with each design, I'm now actually really excited about it, because it's looking quite nice. I've got the pile right here. That's why I keep looking down. But I'm getting really excited for it now. It's starting to look like an actual collection. So I'm excited to send them and us to have the collection and to see them next to what you've done. Because obviously we've mentioned this before, but I'll just quickly recap. We're designing this in-house because for this digital collection, we're going to be offering bundles and as single patterns. So you'll get the complete ebook if you want it, but you can also buy it as an individual pattern or as a bundle or whatever. So it's made working out the rights an absolute nightmare, and we didn't want to like make any of our designers guinea pigs for this new kind of format that we're trying. So we're designing everything in-house. So Hanna Lisa has her 4 patterns over there, and I've got my 4 patterns, and I'm excited for them to like mush together the collection. So
yeah, well,
yay.
You're a much better designer than I am. I hope someone's at least gonna like some of mine.
They
like,
will. Yours are lovely. I'm excited. Those little socks and mittens. Oh my god.
Yeah, I like them. I think there's going to be like something for everyone. So we have lots of texture and we have bits of color work and like really cool construction. The cool construction comes entirely from Claire, not from me. So
that's absolutely not true, and everyone will see that. The mittens, the iCard.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
I'm looking up there because my samples are anyways.
Let's stop teasing people with the rest, because we are going to show all of them. I did do a couple of little sneak peeks of a couple of little things over on. I'm going to quickly just like but that's going to be coming very soon, and we'll do like a full podcast of breaking down the collection as well, probably in the new year.
Yeah.
So what have you been working on? Let's show some fun things that you've been doing.
I have a finished object. It's still damp, but look.
Oh, it looks so good.
So this is Tauko, the Tauko hat from issue 4. The hat that's on the cover here. Yeah, and it's my version. It's still slightly damp, so we'll just see. We'll do like a live try on thing. Let's hope that it fits.
Oh my god, I love it. It looks so good.
Ooh, I love it. Ooh, this is perfect.
I love it.
This is perfect. I'm so happy with it. Okay, I need to, like, this is very hard to do without a mirror, but this is exactly the fit that I was going for.
Oh, it's perfect.
Okay.
I love it. Now I want it.
Yeah, I can only recommend it. So, let's do, this might be a little bit longer because, I mean, FO warrants a little project recap, I think. And this project brought me so much joy. I can really only highly recommend knitting this one, not only because it's from our publication, but because it was seriously so much fun to knit. So where do we start? So Tauko is a pattern by Sari Nordlund. Sari is a Finnish designer who does absolutely magnificent designs. We've worked with her a few times before. And she always does really interesting things construction-wise or texture-wise. She designed this hat using Gould, New Zealand's Lammeold. So Gould is a Danish yarn company. They naturally dye all their yarns. And it's like a fingering weight, and the color that I used for the outside is the natural gray. And then this corally bit color, the second color that I used is dyed on the natural gray. So yeah. And the hat is reversible. So it has a folded brim, which is why this is so long. Like, it's not, I mean, you can wear it like this. I wouldn't wear it like that. But you have the lace side, and then let me just flip this. Ta-da! And then
second hat.
You have the stockinette side, so you can actually, if you wanted to, also wear it like this.
Oh, it's so good.
Ooh, this is actually really nice as well. I love, you know, this is
Yeah.
like the simpler version, but with the two color brim. I really, really like it.
Yes. I
Um,
love that.
yeah. Couple of sort of technical details. So I knit the this is a two color brioche brim. I knit it on 2.25 mil needles, which is, Claire, help me out here. What is that? A US 2?
Oh, I never know.
I don't know. 2.25
I can
mil.
Google it.
Went up through to a 3.5 millimeter needle for the main body of the hat. And the main body is this super intuitive geometric lace pattern that is super potato chippy. I talked about this in the last episode, but it's basically got, like, I flew through the entire lace crown in like a day and a half. Like, I kid you not, like maybe
crazy.
4 hours of knitting or something like that. Because A, it was like, it just went super fast, and B, I just didn't want to stop knitting it because it was so fun. I did one modification for the lace part. I knit one more pattern repeat than the pattern called for. I think the pattern calls for 4 and I did 5. Because by the time that I was done with a number of pattern repeats, the pattern calls for, I looked at it and I was like, ooh, hi Tilly. So that's Claire's dog. So Tilly approves of my modification. That's
Tilly loves it.
So
she's telling everyone.
So by the time that I had finished, you know, like the body of the head as the pattern called for and was supposed to start the crown decreases, I looked at it and I was like, this looks a little bit short for me. Like, I like my hats to have a tiny bit of slouch, just like you saw, right? Also, like, just a little bit of, I like growing my hair up and just a bit of, you know, more room for my head, essentially. So I just tacked on another, what is that, like 8 rows or something, then started the crown decreases. That was all perfectly fine. And then when the time came for the stockinette, I eyeballed it. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna knit, you know, more or less as long as I did for the lace body, and like, you know, and then start the crown decreases, which worked out fine. And it's actually really forgiving. The yarn is like super fluffy and super forgiving, and because it's a hat, it's going to be stretched out anyways.
I love that. I love patterns where you can kind of like, it's fun to follow things, but I also like it where if I'm just gonna go a little bit off piece, that it's not gonna matter because I can't be bothered working.
Yeah, exactly. And here's another funny thing that happened with this hat. So I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. I am 100% sure that I had the correct stitch count after the brim. Now, when you finish the brim, you actually divide the stitches into 2 halves. So one half which for me was the gray, the lace section, and the other half for the stockinette section. And then you have to increase again to get to the correct number of stitches for the circumference of the head. Now, when it was time to start the crown decreases for the stockinette, I was like, where do all these extra stitches come from? I do not know. People, I don't know. If you have the pattern, you'll know why I'm so confused, because there's really no way that you can have more. Anyways, it's fine. I winged it. I honestly just decreased. I don't even really remember what I did. I think I decreased as the pattern called for, and then just did a couple of decreased rows more. So until I got to the final number of stitches that you should have on the needles. And it's fine. No one will see. No one cares. I really like it.
I love it. I love everything about it. Those colors as well. I always say it, but that combination is like, ooh.
I know. It's so nice. But I can also see this, like, I really like how, you know, the light coral shines through the gray.
Yeah.
This works perfectly with my wardrobe. But I think this could also work super well in like tonal colors. I think you mentioned last time like a tonal yellow version.
Yellow.
Which I think would be so nice. And there are a couple of other gorgeous tester projects. I think a few projects on Ravelry feature the gray and then like an indigo dyed dark blue. That's absolutely stunning as well, because
I
it's
love
making
that one.
the lace pop even more because it's against a really dark background.
I love that version.
So
it makes the lace look like little peacocks as well, I always think, with that color.
True. Yeah. So we have a few testnet projects featured on our website, so you can see them there. If you have access to Ravelry, you can also see them there. And I absolutely love it, and I can't wait for it to be dry and then wear it, because this is also really warm.
Oh, I love it. It's so much fun. And I've always been one of those people that I would never wear a lace hat, just because I'm kind of particular about lace anyway. But I like that's, I think we've said before, we had a lot of lace in that issue that was in like a woolen yarn, and which I love. Like, I love the lace, but in chunk, like not in lace weight yarn, basically.
Yeah.
And also, I never really liked a lace hat because I always thought it'd be chilly, which it would. And for Canadian winters, is just like, it's not going to work. But that's going to be perfect. So it is in my queue, like most other things. But we'll see if I have time to do it.
Do it. It's really, honestly, a really quick knit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the brim took me a really, really, really long time, also because it was at a time where I didn't really have a lot of knitting mojo. Now my knitting mojo is back at full force. But it was also perfect during, like, you know, like, it's 2-color brioche, which I really actually like knitting. And it's perfect for, you know, you just want to knit like a couple of rows, or you need something to throw in your bag and take on a car ride, or, you know, like, just Netflix evening. And then you have this, and I'm not gonna take this off. This is so nice, and it's so warm, and this is not even dry yet, so it's even warmer. But it's so warm, like, it's this double. Oh, I love it. I'm so happy.
You've sold me.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna make it. Do you know I've never done 2-color brioche? I've never knit 2-color brioche. I know. I feel like you can't call yourself a knitter until you've done it, because everyone's done it. I've done 1-color brioche and loved it. So
and 2-color brioche is so fun. Like, I really like it, and I don't think brioche is complicated at all. Like, I always was like, ooh, I was very intimidated. And then my mom, the first time I knit 2-color brioche was actually, I think maybe last year. Must have been last year, because I remember being pregnant while I knit on that shawl. So spring last year, I made a shawl for my mom that had like different textures, and one of the sections was 2-color brioche, and I absolutely loved it. So yeah, people go ahead.
I'm gonna give it a go.
I'm just gonna keep this hat on. I really like it.
Keep it on. It's gorgeous. I love it.
All right. I have a couple more things to share. Just little project updates. Should we do them quickly? I don't really know.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So the first one that I thought I would give everyone an update on, because I've actually worked on this a little bit, is my petiole. So last week you saw Claire's finished petiole. Originally we had grand plans to knit this sweater together over the summer, which did not happen. It was not Claire's fault. It was completely mine. But like, you showed it to us last week. No, not last week, the week before last week, because last week we were on our monthly break. And it inspired me to pick mine back up again. So here it is.
Hanna Lisa, it's so nice.
I know. I'm going to have serious yarn issues though, because I'm very much running out of yarn, I think. So this sweater is Petiole from issue 3, designed by Stephanie Erb for Stolen Stitches Nua Sport, which is a beautiful yak linen. I'm blanking on the third one. Yak linen merino blend. Merino,
I think.
Yeah. It's absolutely stunning. It's a top-down yoke sweater with this gorgeous lace in the yoke. And last time that I showed it, I was at some point in the yoke. Like, the yoke was super, super fast. And then I basically put it on hold because I wanted to try on before I divided for the sleeves. which I did. It's fine. I wanted something with a bit more positive ease, and I really had to wing it because I couldn't get gauge. So now I'm in the middle of the short rows, which for this design happen after the yoke, which I think is genius because then you don't have to mess with the lace in the yoke and short rows. So that's really nice.
I loved that.
So yeah, so this is where I'm at. But I'm looking at my stash over there. So I bought, I think, 7 skeins of yarn. This is the 4th one. This is going to be very tough. I want to do what you did, Claire, which is make like a shorter version, like a crop version, and then possibly 3/4 length sleeves, because I really enjoy those. And now, like, I'm, as a lot of people who can do that at the moment, I'm working from home, and like our apartment is heated, and I don't really venture out that much right now, so I'm not gonna wear like a full-on wool sweater with long sleeves anyways a ton. So
no.
So that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I don't think there's enough yarn. I might have to reorder.
It depends. If you're doing 3/4 lengths, let's think, my sleeves took a lot of yarn, but I did them full length and I did no shaping at all, so it ate up so much of my yarn. So I just had enough. I had to, if you remember, I had to spit splice this cup because like a dummy, I cut my swatch open.
Not like a dummy, it's a good thing to do, to measure.
I was cursing it after, so, but the spit slicing worked, and so I managed to get there, but I was playing major yarn chicken by the end of it. And
I think
maybe if you're doing them 3/4,
maybe it's gonna work out, you think? I think, you know what I think what I'm gonna do? So this is almost a full skein. So I'm just gonna finish that full skein, put the body on hold. I have 3 more skeins, then wind up 1 skein each, knit the sleeves until those 2 run out, and then I have 1 skein left, and I can decide what I want to do. You know, how long the body is, how long the sleeves are, and then if I need more. So I think that's gonna give me a good idea without having to rip back.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you get, because that's the problem I had. I wish I'd have knit my sleeves first, and then just because I like my body quite cropped, so I could definitely have got away with having the body even a little bit shorter than what I did. So if I had done the sleeves first, I could have then just knit the body until I ran out of yarn. So yeah,
see, that's what I'm thinking as well. Like, my favorite hand knit sweaters are all cropped, and I really like that, like, because all of the, like, my jeans and over my belly button anyways, and I also really like wearing sweaters with just like a simple tank top underneath them. So yeah, but I'm really excited. This is such a nice project. I really like it.
It's lovely.
I had 2 more that I wanted to share, just because, you know, lovelies, we thought it's a bit boring if we're only like sharing, you know, oh, those are making stories projects that we're knitting on, because it's not all that we're sharing, that we're knitting on. And it's not like, this is not supposed to just promote our stuff. Like, yeah, we're promoting our stuff, but we just genuinely are excited about knitting and want to share knitting. So yeah, just in case anyone's wondering. I have a baby knit, and I have a sock knit. Is that okay if I share both? Am I taking up too much?
Yeah, go for it. I always want to see what you're knitting.
So, everyone and their grandma, well, probably not their grandma, but everyone of my friends is having babies. I don't know what's up. So many babies, which is awesome, because A, I love babies, and B, I love knitting for babies. My poor child doesn't have any hand knits in their wardrobe right now because mom's too busy knitting for other babies. But anyways, so yeah, I've knit like a couple of things for babies from our kids collection. But I wanted a little change of pace, and I made this. It's not.
Oh, it's so cute.
Isn't this cute? So this is Petite Knit's Anchor sweater, which has taken the knitting world by storm. It was published in 2017, and there are so many projects of this out there. I now know why, because it's super fun to knit. I got inspired to get the pattern and cast this on because we actually received a cardigan version of this beautiful little thing when Oren was first born. That was knit by my dear friend Em from Oysters and Pearls, and I loved that one so much, and Oren lived in it the entire last winter. He's outgrown it, so yeah, it's packed away safely, but yeah, and I loved it. And she so Em used one of her own yarns held together with, I think, a strand of cashmere, so I got inspired by that. I just wanted something mindless in the round, so I didn't want to do the cardigan. So I purchased the sweater pattern, the baby sweater pattern. And I really, really like it. And I held, for the first time ever, 2 yarns together. I've not done silk and mohair with anything, people. I'm late to everything. I was like,
isn't it fun?
3 years behind 2-color brioche and stuff. I get it. Like, it's so much fun. So I use yarn from Isager, a Danish yarn company that is also one of our yarn partners. It's all sustainable yarns, and they do marvelous yarns. So this is their Jensen base, which is a DK weight, and this is their silk mohair. And held together, they create this super fluffy goodness.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So I really like that. I have the sleeves left, and then it's gonna go to its recipient, who's already been born. So yeah, that is the one project that I wanted to share. And then the other one is a fun little cast on that I did last night or the night before. I can't even remember. So I used to knit a lot of socks, and then all of a sudden I stopped knitting socks. I don't really know why. I think it was when I became pregnant. I, for some reason, got super nauseous every time that I tried to knit. I don't know if that's happened to anyone else before.
Really? That's really strange.
Yeah, I think it was something with, needles and looking down at something. I didn't have to battle like a lot of morning sickness or anything. But I didn't want to knit. Like, for the majority of my pregnancy, I didn't want to knit. And it's really taken the better part. So Oren's like over 13 months old now. So it's taken the better part of a year for my knitting mojo to get back. And I haven't knit socks, I think 1.5 years, maybe 2 years even. I just didn't feel like it.
No. I kind of did that with socks as well. I kind of lost my sock knitting mojo.
And I don't really know what it is, because I love hand knitted socks. Like, now one of my favorite things is just going through my sock drawer and, picking out the socks that I want to wear in the morning. And recently when I did that, I was like, I really haven't knit socks in a long time. And then like 2 days ago, I just really felt like casting something on. So I cast something on. And look at this.
Oh, I love it. Ooh, I love that yarn as well.
Gorgeous. Yeah. So this is Hey Brown Berries, Mars. So you guys probably know Mars. If you don't know Mars, go follow her. She is Hey Brownberry on YouTube. She has a beautiful podcast and a gorgeous Instagram feed. And she does beautiful knitwear designs, which are very special because they are each of the knitwear designs is inspired by a certain concept. And there's just something about that really moves me. So this is the Pebbles and Pathways sock, and Mars, there's just so much integrity in Mars's design work, because each of her designs takes that concept and gets you thinking and reflecting on how that's reflected in the pattern, but also your own life. That's at least how it is for me. And I just felt, it's going to sound a little silly, but I felt called to cast these on.
Oh, nice. I love them.
They're super, super fun to knit. Like, I mean, says she who's knit like a third of a sock, but I really like them. And you know what's funny is I thought for the longest time that this was a cuff down pattern, which it's not. It's a toe up pattern. I don't like knitting cuff down socks. And so when I went to Marcia's store to on Ravelry to buy these, I was like, ooh, toe up, yay. So this is really fun. Pebbles and Pathway Socks by Hey Brownberry, Marcia Smith. No. Froze again?
No, I was just doing a ooh noise.
Okay. I couldn't interpret it was like good or bad. So I really like it. And the yarn, this is not yarn that you would usually see on this podcast because it's superwash.
No.
Yeah. But people, like, for me, a critical facet of sustainability is using what you got. There's so many there's so much product, so many things out there in the world, you know, just like throwing your superwash yarns into the trash and buying all non-superwash, no nylon sock yarns is also not very sustainable. So I'm slowly working my way through any superwash yarns that I have left. I've found some homes for some of them. And this is a skein that I picked up at Edinburgh Yarn Fest. I think the first time that I went, which I think was like 3 Edinburgh Yarn Festivals ago, or like 4. I don't even remember. It's Eden Cottage Yarns. I
love the yarn.
Yeah, I don't know which base it is. I honestly don't. It's in my sock. Like, I have a basket with sock yarns, and I wound this up 2 years ago or something. Threw away the ball band, so I don't know what the colorway is. I don't know what the base is. It might be one of their merino cashmere nylon sock yarns. Remember when they were all the rage? MCN bases? I don't know if anyone does MCN bases anymore. It sure feels like it. It's like super soft.
It might be, I have socks in their yarn as well, superwash, and I think it's the same base.
I have to take this off.
And
it's getting really warm. Ooh, no. We're putting this back on. This is not a good look then. All right, this is much better. So yeah. Those are some of the things that I've been working on. I've done a lot of like deadline work knitting in the past, and I still have to do quite a few things for the kids collection. So we have the photo shoot scheduled for December. But I really enjoy just having a couple of personal projects going.
I'm the same, because I need to finish off the blanket. I've got a little bit more to do on the kids collection, and then I want to get it shipped off. But I was the same. I've been doing so much deadline knitting that I was like, I got to the weekend and I thought I need to cast something else on. So I'm a big fan of casting things on a holiday as well, and it was Halloween, which is one of my favorite holidays. I love Halloween and watching spooky things, and I thought I need something to cast on. So I dug out my I got a sweater's quantity of Knitting for Olive double soft merino for my birthday. It was a present from Chris. So I cast on a sweater. I decided to do an improvised top-down sweater, which was super fun. Full disclosure, I'm going to rip the whole thing back because I'm not happy with something in it, which is fine. That's the fun of a personal project. There's no deadline. I don't have to worry about it, but I'll show you it. I thought before I rip it back, I'm going to show you what's going on with it.
Ooh, so that's almost a full yoke. So you're going to rip the entire thing back.
Yeah. Yep. I know, but I knit because it's kind of like think, is it worsted weight, the double soft merino? It's quite chunky. I find it hard to tell because it's like, I don't know if you can, that's focusing in on it or not, but it's like a chain construction.
Ooh, that's
which I've never knit with
nice.
before. So I know. So yeah, and I'll tell you why I'm ripping it back. Because I did pearl stitches for the raglan.
Yeah.
Which I really like the look of, because I'm not doing a compound raglan. I couldn't be bothered. So I'm just doing traditional shaping. Then once I got it to the size I wanted, I was knitting straight. But I love the pearl.
Yeah,
In the
it looks
increase
really
bit.
nice.
It kind of looks like garter stitch is what I like, but then as soon as it transitioned into just plain, I don't like it at all. I'm not a big fan. So I'm going to rip it back, and I'm actually going to do garter stitch for the raglan instead, and the rest of it's in like a simple seed stitch. So it's just where you purl every fourth stitch, and then you do 3 plain rounds, and then you kind of stagger where that purl is. I just wanted something simple and fun, and the plan is I'm going to do the yoke, knit the body straight and keep it cropped, and then do 3/4 length sleeves, no shaping.
Yay.
All with the thingy. But yeah, I have to rip it off. But it's fine. It's fine. It's one of those things. And I just know I'll wear it a ton.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice around the house sweater as well. And this is the ochre colorway, which is like a definite mustard yellow color. She's going to be really nice. It was a fun one to cast on for the last few days of autumn, because autumn is now gone here. It went from super colourful and crazy, and all the leaves were really nice, and then it was like they all dropped at once, and it was like winter. So we are definitely heading into winter. We haven't had any snow yet, but yeah, we're definitely heading towards winter. So
you're gonna have snow
it.
sooner or later. I watched Clara Parks' stories this morning. So we're recording this on a Tuesday. We're recording this on election day in the US.
Yeah.
I was watching Clara Parks' stories this morning. Apparently it was the first snow day in Maine. So you're gonna have snow.
Well, you never know here. Where my in-laws are, they're on the border to Maine, so they might have snow already. We haven't spoken to them. But down here, so where Maine is, we're about a good 7 hours drive downwards to the coast. So where Halifax is, because we're on the coast, the sea's right there, we tend to get like the warmer weather, and so we will get snow, but we probably won't get any snow that we can play in till January, I would assume. But that's okay, because I like to look at it coming down. I'm one of those people get mad at me because I get really excited when it snows, because I'm English and we never it's like, if it snowed in England, you didn't get to go to school. You could have a day off, but it looked pretty, and then you'd have snowball fights. It lasted like a day, 2 days, and then it was gone. So the novelty should technically have worn off, but it hasn't. So I'm still really, really excited when it snows. And Tilly loves to go snowshoeing. So as soon as we can play in it, we'll be out in our snowshoes, and it'll be really fun.
Oh,
yeah.
I love snow. We don't really get a ton of snow here anymore in Berlin. Let's see what this winter is like. There's like a big truck outside.
Oh, I can't hear it.
I was like, I also couldn't hear it at first. It was just vibrating. It's like, what? Oh. Maybe it's also like, I think our like neighbors from downstairs in the building are moving out today. Maybe it's a moving truck or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all the knitting that I had to share, which now I think about it, I actually have several hibernating projects where I got a sweater that I cast on last year, and it got way too hot, but it was like a really heavy sweater. So I'm going to be getting that out soon. So I will show you that in another time, because again, that's going to be perfect for winter. If I can actually get it finished, it's going to be perfect for winter. So.
Oh, nice. All right, I think that's all the knitting that we have for today, and we shared a little bit about the kids collection and our process. So there's that. Yeah, I just remember it. I had managed to put it out of my head that today is election day, but now I remember it. So my anxiety is spiking again. I'm not entirely sure by the time that this episode airs whether the results will be as conclusive as I fucking hope they will be, because this dumb ass asshole Trump needs to be gone.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to drag on for a little while, but let's hope we'll get
I think so. But just a little love note to everyone who's watching, who is in the US. I think like with Claire, I mean, being in Canada and me in Germany, I don't think I can imagine how it's been like living through the last 4 years. It's been incredibly scary and disheartening watching it from over here. I'm crossing all my fingers and toes and everything that Biden wins, because I don't know what's going to happen if he doesn't. Yeah. This is a very uplifting note to end the podcast on.
We'll end positively. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
And know that we're thinking of you, and we know that this day, and also probably by the time that this goes live, the past few days have been very hard for a lot of you, and I just hope that you find a little bit of breathing space, a little bit of solace, a little bit of just like calmness in your stitches, in your knitting, a little bit of time to regroup, because I find knitting always does that for me. Every time I sit down without any background noise for 10 minutes, just that a few stitches flow through my hands, it brings me back to myself somehow. And I hope it can do that for you too during these times. Next week we'll have the next episode of Making Stories Knits With, and I'm joined by the wonderful Ruth Wherewhy, who is a dear friend of the two of us and who's also used to work with Making Stories. She's now focusing on her yarn company Raincloud and Sage, and we're talking about all of the things that she does there. She produces beautiful, sustainably sourced yarns here in Germany. And I already recorded the chat, so I know it's a good one.
I can't wait to watch it. I love Ruth. She's so much fun, and I love her yarn. I'm a little bit obsessed with it, I'm not gonna lie. She has some exciting things going on at the moment.
I know. So I can't wait to share this with you. So that interview is going to go live on YouTube next Thursday, and then we will be back with another podcast episode on November 19th, and we'll hopefully have more knitting to share with you.
I can't wait. It's been lovely chatting.
Yes. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you like this, leave us a little comment down below, or hit the thumbs up button, or even hit subscribe, or forward it to a knitting friend who you think might enjoy this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Recording.
Okay, and start timer. Oh, and now shake it off.